Hello, Cleveland, and welcome back to another edition of the Dogland Podcast. I'm your host, Jackson McCurry, and joining me on this episode, we've officially activated him off the injured reserve. It's the one, the only Anthony Jokey. It's good to hear your voice, brother. I'm glad you're doing better. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. It's nice to be off of IR. It's nice to kind of get back to normal life, and it's never fun being in a hospital or anything. But they took very good care of me, and there's a lot of stuff I got to do, but I'm glad that everything is so much better, and can actually talk some Browns football this week.
Absolutely, man. It's great that you're back on the pod. Was able to hold it down on Monday with our guest Tony Serino. If you guys haven't listened to that yet, please go check it in the archives. It was a great episode, great discussion about the Steelers with Tony as always. But Anthony, we made it through the week, and we're here. We're coming up on a very big game for the Browns this Sunday against Pittsburgh. This is the first time in 32 years where the Browns can pull off three straight wins against Pittsburgh. The last quarterback to do that was Bernie Kosar. This could be Baker Mayfield's time. And at the beginning of the week, I had discussed with Tony. I was saying there's a good chance Baker Mayfield might not play. We were still unsure as of Monday that if he was going to play or not, but he practiced all week. He's got a new harness. I'm still a little bit concerned just watching some of the videos that the media shown of the way he was throwing. He was kind of holding that shoulder in. It is his non-throwing shoulder at the same time, but there's still cause for concerns. But Baker Mayfield's going to give it a go and start on Sunday. Anthony, are you surprised that he's going to pull through and play?
Am I surprised? No. He is a different breed of toughness, so I'm not surprised that any opportunity that he has to get out there, he's going to take it. He talked about how last week was the first game he's had to sit for in 8 years, so you could just tell the drive and hunger for him. Now, am I worried? Yeah, but I think what the game plan should be with him is, to eliminate the pressure that Pittsburgh brings, especially with TJ Watt. I know our offensive line is healthy, and we'll talk about that, but the quick passing game is something that I think is going to be vital, whether, it's quick outs or quick slants or the screen game or anything. Just getting the ball out quickly against this defense will go a long way into kind of easing some of the worry with him. Um, you know, you have to wonder if he does get hit, what that first hit is going to be like for him, pain wise. I confident that he can get through the game, but I guess it's dependent on how many hits he can take. But I'm not surprised that he's playing, but I am quite worried about it.
Yeah, I would be too. I mean, we look back, you're talking about the quick passing game. Baker's time to throw, while it has gotten quicker, or no, it's actually gotten slower since his rookie season. He's taken more time to throw. Back then, it was 2.66 seconds. This year, so far through 6 games, it's 2.96, so it has slowed a little bit. I agree with you. He needs to get the ball out quickly because Pittsburgh's defensive front, TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, maybe Melvin Ingram, Alex Highsmith, these guys are going to get after him because they know he's got that injured shoulder. They are going to go after Mayfield and try to rough him up some more, try to make the injury worse. I don't know how much worse it could get with already a completely torn labrum and a broken bone in his shoulder. But, I mean, they're going to try to get after him. They're going to try to rough him up a little bit. And when you rough Baker up, he does seem, when he's under pressure, he does seem to struggle some more. So I'm with you. And at the same time, I'm with you that it does not shock me that it's going to play. I know he said, like, if it's my decision if I'm going to play or not, which I think he's wrong in saying that. And I think at the end of the day, it's Coach Stefanski's decision and the medical team. And obviously, the doctors clearing him was the final hurdle in order for him to play. But it does not surprise me. A lot of people have compared him to Brett Favre over the years. We know the injuries Brett Favre had to deal with during his 20-year career, but Mayfield has that Favre-like swagger and that Favre-like toughness to where if he can get out there and play and throw the football, Baker's going to do it. So it doesn't shock me at the end of the week that he's going to try to toughen out and play this game, albeit against a tough Pittsburgh defensive front.
Yeah, that defensive front is not easy to deal with. I would tend to think with a healthy offensive line, things should be much better for him. He's incredibly tough, and I just feel that as long as they could get the quarterback hits down to a minimum, maybe just a couple, two or three, which is not easy to do against a front like Pittsburgh's. But if you could somehow manage that, we talked about just briefly a few minutes ago the quick passing game. Maybe roll in the pocket a little bit, getting him on the move. Um, I know for sure. I'm sure he's going to slide if he does take off or get out of bounds. I don't think you're going to see that extra, that extra. I'm trying to think of the word, but the ability to get those extra couple yards there. I don't think you're going to see him go after that aggressiveness. I think you're going to see him take care of himself. You'll probably see him if he is about to get hit, kind of, get down quickly. You see Tom Brady do that. You see Aaron Rodgers do that every now and then. I think you're going to see him protect himself as much as possible on Sunday.
Yeah, I would think so as well, because I think he's already dealing with some pain. I don't know if he wants to deal with much more pain. You did mention that the offensive line is back to full strength. We moved to the injury report for this week. Jack Conklin, Nick Chubb both missed last week against Denver. They were limited Wednesday and Thursday. Chubb was a full participant today. On Friday, Conklin was still limited, but they're off the injury report. They're going to go this week. Also back, or no, let me take that back. Jedrick Wills is back. He was limited all week. He was a full participant today. He's also off the injury report. Having the offensive line back to full strength, I think, is a huge plus, but also at the same time, having Nick Chubb back, because last week it was the D'Ernest Johnson show against Denver, which it was a great one. But to have Nick Chubb, who's arguably maybe a top 3 back, maybe the top back in the NFL, depending on who you ask, but having him back there, it does is going to ease the load for D'Ernest Johnson. But at the same time, it's going to be interesting to see how they mesh both, D'Ernest and Nick Chubb, because 2 weeks ago against Arizona, they really couldn't get a rhythm going with Kareem Hunt and D'Ernest Johnson. And now Kareem's obviously out with the calf injury, but having Chubb back, it's going to be interesting to see how they mix both Chubb and D'Ernest in the backfield.
Yeah, so with the offensive line, it's nice to get some depth back as well. They got Nick Harris back. They designated him to return from IR, so you have him, you have Hans, if need be. I know they still miss Chris Hubbard for sure, but with the running backs, I feel like Chubb and D'Ernest are little different style wise, so they should be able to mesh. I think Hunt and D'Ernest are closer to the same mold. They kind of do the same thing. So I think that you could kind of have your Chubb and Hunt this weekend, but just in a different player in D'Ernest. I think they're going to be effective. I know Pittsburgh, when I looked, they're 15th in the league against the run, so you can run against that defensive front, and it's going to be vital too, because it's going to help keep that pass rush off of Baker if they can run the football. So I think you're going to see a very heavy dose of Nick Chubb, a very heavy dose of D'Ernest Johnson, Felton in there every now and then. And this running game is going to be very vital this weekend. It's going to, like I said, it's going to help get that pass rush off a little bit. And since you can run on this Pittsburgh defense a little bit, it's going to, I think, go a long way in determining who wins this one.
Yeah, without question. The running game can be effective. Go back and watch the Seattle game a couple weeks ago. Alex Collins stepped in there and was running and gaining yards against that Pittsburgh defensive front. So there is yards to be had. And when you have Nick Chubb and you have now D'Ernest Johnson in the backfield, not to mention Demetric Felton and what he can do, I won't be surprised if the Browns put up some huge rushing yards against this Pittsburgh defensive front. Looking back at the injury report, 2 guys already out, or 3 guys are already out. Richard LeCounte, this is the mystery. He violated team rules. He's being disciplined. Did not practice at all this week. He's already been ruled out. Also ruled out Denzel Ward and Donovan Peoples-Jones. Ward suffered the hamstring injury last week during the Denver game, and Donovan Peoples-Jones, who we get the feeling he's going to emerge, and then something happens, and he pulled his groin muscle in warm-ups last week against Denver, missed the game, did not practice at all this week. He's out as well. So two major injuries to the Browns team, obviously. Luckily, we have Greedy Williams and Greg Newsome and Troy Hill at the cornerback position, potentially A.J. Green, too, who is questionable. And then Peoples-Jones, who, like I said, we think he's emerging as the third option in the wide receiver room. And unfortunately, he's going to miss this week against Pittsburgh. So very disappointing because he could have had a breakout performance against a struggling Steelers secondary.
Yeah, it is disappointing, but you should see the return of Jarvis Landry. I know Odell is questionable with his shoulder. Yeah. You still have Higgins. You still have, Felton to use in the receiving game as well. I think this receiving wise, obviously you have Hooper and Njoku and Bryant, so there's plenty of options to go around. But if they're going to utilize the quick passing game this weekend, I think that mostly favors the tight ends and the running backs against Pittsburgh. So I would tend to think that you're going to see a lot of runs and then a lot of stuff to the tight ends and running backs. So it's not going to, I think, hurt too much that Peoples-Jones is missing. I'm curious to see what they have dialed up for Odell if he plays, what they have dialed up for Landry. Those two, it's great to have Landry back on the field. I think just having his presence out there is going to do a lot for this offense. Just the leadership that he brings. So, I don't think we're going to miss Peoples-Jones too much, but obviously Denzel on the other side is very tough. They have two really good receivers, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. I know Juju's out for the year, but those two guys you really have to pay attention to. I know Ben doesn't have the arm like he used to. I'm not sure how windy it's going to be on Sunday yet, but, he can't throw the ball consistently downfield with as much power anymore. So I'm not sure how much they have to worry about those guys getting behind the secondary. I know there's been a lot of miscommunication back there, and with Ward out, you have to wonder how that's going to factor in with the rest of the secondary. But they're missing one of their top tight ends too. So their passing game, I think they should rely more on the run. They haven't been great at it this year, but I think the Browns defense is going to try to take away the pass first and force Pittsburgh to run. And I don't really think that, with the rest of the secondary and Big Ben's arm, that they're going to be able to get behind us too much, and they shouldn't, get beat deep too often. And they can kind of sit down and focus on controlling the box and controlling Najee Harris.
Yeah, the unfortunate part is looking at the rest of the injury report real quick. Two of our top three pass rushers are both questionable. Jadeveon Clowney is dealing with a multitude of injuries, knee and the groin specifically. And then Tag McKinley added to the injury report today. He suffered a groin injury, did not practice. He was limited Thursday, did not practice Friday. They're both questionable. So, Anthony, we're looking at a situation where you got Joe Jackson, who would step up to be the number 2 man. They might kick out Malik Jackson, but you're looking at a potential situation where they call up Porter Gustin and Curtis Weaver from the practice squad this week because if Clowney and McKinley can't go. Those two will probably be the next in line along the defensive front outside of, obviously, Myles Garrett, Joe Jackson, and potentially Malik Jackson. So we got a pretty unfortunate situation where we're going up against a not very good offensive line with Pittsburgh. And, this could have been a game where Clowney and McKinley, get after Ben early and often, but it's not looking good heading into Sunday.
Well, the good news is Porter Gustin played really good against them in the playoffs last year. He had an interception. So he is familiar with them. So I'm confident that he can come up and, do his job and, against the Steelers offensive line. So if he is going to play on Sunday, I'm confident in him. Obviously being thin, and I know you hate draft talk, but we were talking about that the other day. Like, what are the needs? What are the needs? I think definitely defensive line depth all the way across is certainly a need. Going into next year. So, and you can tell that just by how thin it is right now with the injuries that they have. So, I certainly think that's going to be a focus. I don't want to harp on too much, but it's certainly something that they're going to look at, especially with Clowney's free agency coming up and whatnot. So, but this defensive line, I think, Miles is a very special player, and I think he's going to have certainly going to get double teamed a lot by that Steelers offensive line with the different things that they do. So, I expect him to wreak havoc, but I also expect the Steelers to put a lot of focus on him because Roethlisberger isn't as mobile as he once was. So, I expect the Browns to be able to contain him as best as possible. And I think, Jack, this is where you're going to see an opportunity for other guys like Grant Delpit and JOK. Or no, never mind, JOK's not there.
JOK's on, yeah.
It's crazy. I can't keep up with all these injuries. But
they went on IR at the same time you did, so it's okay.
But guys like Delpit, being able to use them in pass rushing situations as extra blitzers, I think they should utilize them that way. Just to drum up a little extra pressure to force, Roethlisberger to get that ball out there. So I think the pass rush will be okay just from the quality of the Steelers offensive line and the quality of, Miles on the other side and some of the other guys that they could send on the pass rush. So you just have to worry about those guys getting really tired late in the fourth quarter when you don't have the depth that they're used to having on that D line. You've seen a couple games, how much they're like sucking air at the end from some of the things that they've been asked to do. So I think that the pass rush will be somewhat okay, but you're going to have to, if you're Joe Woods, dial up some extra pressure here and there from other areas to really supplement and help these guys out.
Yes, and I actually forgot about another person, Ifeadi Odenigbo. That's the guy that we
That's
had
the one they traded for, right?
We picked him up on the waiver wire, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, he was with us a couple years ago, then went back to Minnesota, and then we picked him back up. I think it had to have been like after the final cut downs. But he's a guy that has a history of creating pressure and getting after the quarterback. So this could be his opportunity as well. They might only call up one of Porter Gustin or Curtis Weaver because we have Joe Jackson, because we have Odenigbo. So we do have some depth there. And like you said, a lot of these guys, if we have like a situation where Gustin or Odenigbo and Joe Jackson, they don't have as many reps as Myles Garrett, obviously, McKinley, Clowney. This could be fresh legs. This could be guys that come in and provide a little spark and, boost more energy and confidence into that defense where they can go out and make some plays. So I'm anxious to see what the plan is if Clowney I think it's likely Clowney doesn't go. We'll see. McKinley's probably a game time decision, but I was anxious to see what Joe Woods and the defensive coaching staff has planned in case these guys can't go for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, I expected them to dial up some extra pressure, if they don't have those guys from other areas, just to kind of help supplement it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Looking at the Pittsburgh side, their injury report isn't as big as the Browns. They are missing tight end Eric Ebron, who's obviously the second tight end now with Pat Freiermuth is the rookie out of Notre Dame. I hope I said that name right.
That's actually the right way to say it. That's like one of those long names I do know how to pronounce.
Yeah, I pronounced it wrong on Monday, and then I corrected myself towards the end of the show. But yeah, he's out with a hamstring injury, and then linebacker Melvin Ingram, who is in trade talks because he's losing playing time. Well, he's doubtful this week with a groin injury, did not practice Friday. So that's not going to hurt it. That's going to hurt his trade value as we head towards Tuesday's trade deadline. If he's got an injury right now. But yeah, those are the only two on the injury report. Roethlisberger, Claypool, Anthony McFarland Jr., and Zach Banner were on the report, but they all fully practiced and were taken off on Friday. So Pittsburgh's injury report is obviously better than Cleveland's heading into Sunday, but there is some key injuries there for sure.
Yeah, they are very healthy. They're only missing a couple guys. Looks like for this weekend. It's kind of like the opposite last year, right? Pittsburgh's defense was so beat up last year. They lost quite a few guys for the season, towards the end there. And I was talking about this with my one Steelers buddy, Jay. It's kind of like the exact opposite of last year. So, it's just kind of how the NFL is. I think I saw Atlanta has everybody completely healthy for the game. Fortunately, in this game, you get bumps, you get bruises, you get banged up, nicked up, and it's just the way it goes. And unfortunately, the Browns so far this season have been certainly on the wrong end of that spectrum. So you just kind of got to deal with it. And if you can win with as many injuries as the Browns do, it kind of makes it even a little extra special, especially with it being Pittsburgh.
Absolutely. Anthony, as we wrap things up, if we head into Sunday, what is your final thoughts on this matchup as we head towards what could be, obviously, we haven't seen this in our lifetime, the Browns potentially winning 3 straight games against Pittsburgh. Do you think this is a must-win game? Obviously, we're a game behind both Cincinnati and Baltimore right now in the division, and we're heading a key stretch of the season where the Browns are 4-3, and they don't want to get too far behind, and not only the division race, but also the wild card race, because that's starting to take shape now with a stacked AFC.
Yeah, this is an important one. I know the NFC or the AFC North is very competitive. Obviously, you want to win those division games. Especially for potential tiebreakers down the road, because all 4 teams in the AFC North are in the playoff picture right now. You hope to, like I said, always win those division games, and you got 2 tough ones on the road coming up before you play Detroit, and then you have Baltimore after that. So I don't know if I want to label this a must-win. You would certainly like to have it. I know it's going to be tough with all the injuries that the Browns do have, and beating your rival is never an easy thing to do. So I don't know how I feel about Sunday. I've been debating this all week. It's a tough one for me to say one way or the other. I know when fully healthy, the Browns are certainly the better team. It's all going to rely on, Jack, how Baker Mayfield is. I think with how he performs, it's going to tell us how this game is going to go. I hope they don't have to make a switch to Keenum mid-game, but if they do, I have confidence in Case that he'll be able to come in and do his job. But to me, it's all on Baker. If he plays okay, I think the Browns will win this one. If he's getting hit a lot early on, it's certainly going to spell trouble for this team. So I don't know, Jack. I've been debating this all week on who to pick. Maybe I'll just go with Vegas on this one, because typically Vegas will do the home team when it's close, like -3, -2.5. So I guess I'll go Browns by 3, just because I'm not fully confident in my prediction one way or the other. So I guess I'm going to align myself with Vegas. So I'll say Browns by 3, 27-24.
Yeah, man, I feel the same way. First of all, because Romo and Nance are calling this game, and the Browns have not won a game yet with Romo and Nance calling a game.
There's that factor too. Yeah.
And lo and behold, Anthony, it was reported by Brad Steinbrook of the OBR that Romo and Nance are calling the next 2 Browns games, because they're calling next week against Cincinnati too, which obviously is a big matchup, not only AFC North but the AFC in general. So you play that into effect too. have my worries about Baker Mayfield. Coming back, I'm confident. Obviously, if the medical team cleared him, that means he's good to go. So I'm confident that Baker's going to go out there and he's going to be the best option at quarterback for us. I'm with you. Like, hopefully we don't have to go to Keenum, but if we do, he knows the offense. He can come in and run it. Like Jedrick Wills said earlier this week that he didn't notice a difference between Baker and Keenum running the offense, which, of course, the fan base got into an uproar over nothing because that was ridiculous. But, you have, like, Pittsburgh is obviously on a downturn right now, but their defense is still good. I know Tony said that the defense isn't as good, but the stats, the analytics, the metrics, everything still says that Steelers defense is still around the top 10 defense. Their secondary isn't as good, but up front, obviously, you got Watt, Hayward, Highsmith. Ingram's effective still, even though he's starting to see less snaps. Up front worries me. Our offensive line's back to full strength, though, so I'm confident they can get the job done. I'm going with you, like you said, you're going to side with Vegas because they usually know this stuff. It is a 3-point favorite. I do expect it to be a close game, but I just feel like the Browns are the better team. They're going to pull this one out, and they're going to win this game. And then it sets up next week a big showdown against Cincinnati, which is going to be exciting to watch because Cincinnati looks to be really good, but are they really that good? We'll find out. They beat the Ravens. Now they can beat the Browns, and might be a full believer in the Bengals, but we'll get to that next week, obviously. But as far as this week goes, I'm confident in the Browns. I think they can beat the Steelers because they did it twice in a row. They can definitely do it 3 times in a row. So I'll go with you. The Browns win by 3. I'll say Browns 23, Steelers 20, because I feel like it's not going to be raining, but I feel like the wind is going to play a factor. They're calling for 20-mile-an-hour winds. So it'll be interesting to see how the ball comes out of Baker's hands and even Big Ben's hands with the wind playing a factor into this one.
Yeah, if I could touch on like the Romo and Nance thing, at some point the Browns have to win one of these big games that they call. I know when those two are assigned to a game, typically that means it's a big game, and it falls upon the Browns to actually win those. I know, they lost those 2 against Kansas City that they called. I think that one was that Baker's rookie year against the Ravens that they called.
Yeah, that one, the Titans opener, the Patriots game. I think there might be another one in there, but they haven't won at one. And it's funny, and I don't want to cut you off, but we haven't won a game with Romo and Nance calling a game, but I'm pretty sure every game that we've played with Aikman and Buck calling, the Browns have won. So clearly the Browns are just a better team on Fox on primetime.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that works, but yeah, at some point you got to win one of those big games, right? And I can't think of a better one to win than this Sunday. And Cincinnati's not going to be easy. They seem to be the real deal. I'm sure they have a tough part of their schedule coming up here. They play us, the Raiders, Steelers, and Chargers all in a row. So that's certainly going to be a tough stretch for them after their game against the Jets this week. So you certainly would like to get this one, set up the battle for first place next week in the division. And you just hope that, I know it's one game at a time, but you want to definitely win these next 2 against the division and, really put yourself in a good position division wise and also AFC picture wise, because that certainly helps with the tiebreaker since that's the first tiebreaker that they look at. So.
Yeah, without question. Because you mentioned the AFC, like the big picture is winning the division, obviously, because it's something the Browns haven't done in our lifetime. But looking at the conference as a whole, right now we're in a tight battle for those final wild card spots. Buffalo's leading the division, but the Chargers at 4-2, Baltimore at 5-2, we're 4-3. The Steelers are 3-3, Patriots 3-4, Colts 3-4, Chiefs 3-4, Broncos 3-4. So we can't afford many more losses at this point because it is such a tight battle in the AFC. That we kind of want to get ahead instead of trying to fall behind and play catch up down the stretch because, after the Lions and Patriots games. I mean, which even those games will be tough because the Lions have fought every game this year, and the Patriots are obviously they're a tough team no matter what, as long as Belichick's there. But playing the Ravens twice, the Packers, the Raiders, and then Steelers and Bengals to close out the season, it's going to be a tough schedule, and you can't afford to lose many more games. So I feel like every game at this point is a must-win, Anthony.
Yeah, they can't fall behind, and especially with the tough schedule that they got coming up over the next month or so, you certainly can't fall behind. So you certainly want to win one, especially the home games. Win the home games, and you're good, or you should be pretty good. So you really want to go out there on Sunday and beat Pittsburgh for sure.
Yeah, without a question. We should be back, I would say, Sunday night. Anthony, is Sunday night gonna be good to do post game, or should we?
It should be okay. We'll see what time I get back.
Yeah.
I know with me being rested up and whatnot, my voice is full. It's definitely ready to go for the game on Sunday. I know it's going to be loud down there, and I'm excited for it. This is one of those games like you wish it could be on Sunday night, Halloween against Pittsburgh at home. It just kind of seems right, but it's going to be a great atmosphere. So I think that we'll definitely be able to do post game on Sunday night.
Yeah, so that should be the plan. So watch Sunday night, Monday morning for when the game comes out, or the game recap episode comes out. If you guys listen to the podcast, if you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. I'm not going to ask you for 5 stars because we don't do that, but just give us a review. Let us know how we're doing, what we can do to improve. Whatever platform you listen to, thanks for listening. We truly appreciate y'all. You can follow me on Twitter at JackMcCurry08. You can follow Anthony at Anthony Jokey. Jokey is Joki. And you can follow the Dogland on Twitter at the Dogland. You can also find us on Facebook as well. And as we get on out of here, we'll talk to you guys soon. And as always, go Browns.